Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Friendly Vet channel, where the purpose of the channel is to provide information on your pets so that you can keep them as healthy and happy as possible. So today we are going to be talking about how you can keep your pets in a more eco-friendly way. Obviously it's really important. I don't think I really need to explain why that we can all reduce the environmental impact of keeping our pets. Obviously the answer is not to stop keeping pets, because I think that it's a really important part of life. I think it's something that humans will always do, so there's no point saying, oh, don't keep dogs, it's not environmentally friendly. I just think that's silly. But there are definitely ways that we can reduce our impact while still enjoying the time with our pets. So firstly, let's talk about food. When it comes to your pet food, there's two kinds of main things that we can look at in terms of the environmental impacts, and that is the content of the food and the carbon footprint of that, and there's also the packaging and whether it's recyclable, etc. So at this moment in time, it's pretty much possible to recycle every kind of pet food packaging, although you may or may not be aware that when you recycle plastics, not that much in terms of percentage of the plastic that you put into your recycle bin actually gets recycled, and it actually takes more plastic to be created in order to recycle old plastic, so it's not as sustainable as recycling metal or glass. I don't know of any pet food that comes in glass, but obviously metal, you can get some tins of food instead of pouches, and instead of the trays of wet food, because the tins are obviously really easy as well for you to sort of rinse out and recycle, and they can be recycled indefinitely without having to use any more raw materials. That does come with a downside though, is that metal packaging is also heavier than plastic packaging, so is a more environmental impact in terms of the transport of those tins compared to buying a food that's in a plastic packaging, which is then lighter. I don't actually have the answer to that. But it depends what feels more important and what recycling initiatives are available near you. For example, not everyone has access to soft plastic recycling or pouch recycling, but if you do have, you can look up on TerraCycle, places where you can recycle cat food pouches, dog food pouches, and some supermarkets will take soft plastics, so if that's in your local supermarket, then that might be a good option for you. And then in terms of what's inside the food, obviously I think we all know by now as well that meat is not really that sustainable, and neither is fish, so it might be a good idea to start looking at some alternatives, which a few different things are popping up now. So we do have a few brands of food available in the UK which are made from insects. I think there's one made from crickets. I don't know what the other ones are made from. And I've actually tried these with my dogs and they really enjoy the taste. I don't actually use them at the moment because they're really expensive, just got to be honest. But if that's affordable for you, then that's a great option, and a lot of them come in compostable packaging as well, which is obviously really good for the environment. If you do have compost available at home, or if you have the food waste collection, then you can put those in there. We also now have a few options on the market as well for plant-based dog food. Now let me just say that it's not possible to get nutritionally complete plant-based cat food, so that's not an option for cats. They need to have meat, so it is what it is, unfortunately. But for dogs, you do have an option that we can create a nutritionally complete plant-based food for dogs. So if that's something that you're interested in, that there are some options out there that you can look into. and that's obviously going to reduce the carbon footprint of your dog's food a lot. Okay, and then when it comes to bedding, so we're talking more about your small furry creatures, which would be rabbits, guinea pigs, etc. What bedding that you want to use. If you can use bedding, if you have compost at home, then you can use obviously the hay and the wood shavings, and you can just compost all that, and that's obviously really good for the environment and really good for anyone's garden that wants to take some compost from you. But if you don't have compost facilities at home, then it's not really very environmentally friendly to just throw that away. So you're thinking, oh, isn't it just going to compost when it goes wherever it goes? No, because it's not going to have all the air circulation and everything like that. So it's going to go to landfill and it's just going to rot, which releases harmful gases into the environment. So if you're in that situation where if you use disposable bedding, it's just going to go to landfill, then you might want to consider using a washable material bedding, fabric bedding. So you can either get the vet bed stuff, which is what we use in the vets as well. It can be cut to pretty much any size, which can be useful if you have a large enclosure for your pet, and it's really easily washable and dryable. It does let the liquid sort of soak through to the underneath layer, so you probably want to put something underneath as well, whether that's something that's reusable like a towel, or whether it's something like puppy pads, which obviously isn't ideal, but it may still be less waste than if you were using the disposable sort of wood-based bedding. You can also buy specific fleece beddings where it has a top layer of fleece, which is comfy for your pet, and inside it's got a really absorbable layer, and then underneath it's got a waterproof layer, so nothing goes through to the underneath of the layer of your cage, and it stays nice and dry for your pet, and obviously they can be washed and dried. They are a bit more difficult in terms of the laundry because of the waterproof side. They don't really wash very well, and they get very heavy, and they take a while to dry, so just to keep that in mind, I guess, when you're considering your options. If you have a cat, then you might want to think about what material you're using for the litter tray. If you're using a litter tray at the moment, the best option is probably something that's recycled, so whether it's like a recycled paper bedding is probably the best one, and then you've got natural fibres such as the wood pellets. You probably want to stay away from certain beddings which are like silicone or basically plastic little beads, which is not really going to be that great for the environment. And then finally, when it comes to your dog waste, the obvious choice is to go for the biodegradable bags, but then what do they actually mean when they say biodegradable? So you've got different things that can all fall under the same sort of broad term, whereas some of them aren't actually that environmentally friendly. So if it just says degradable, then that means that it's made out of plastic, and when it goes into the landfill it's going to break up into smaller pieces of plastic, but it's still plastic and it's still going into the environment, and that's not really great. So you want to look for one that's biodegradable, which ideally is going to break down into something that's not plastic, but I don't think the term is that well regulated, so you might want to look a little bit further into that brand before choosing that. And the best option that you can go for is a compostable bag. I know I just said if you use something compostable and you put it into landfill, that it's not actually degrading as it should in compost, but it's going to be the least amount of harmful plastics that's going into the environment, and when it breaks down, even if it's not completely composting into soil, it's going to be breaking down into something that's less harmful. Was there anything else that I wanted to say? No. So I hope you found that video useful. That's definitely something that I have been trying to do, is to reduce the impact of me keeping my dogs. Obviously it's really important for us all to do that, so hopefully if we all sort of join together and make at least one little change, then it can add up and make a difference. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, then please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll be back with more animal and veterinary content really soon. Thank you for watching. Bye.